Hello everyone and welcome back to Wargame Red Dragon. We are doing a 4v4 today and it's a bit of mixed teams. Han I think usually plays with Best Pony in his side of things, but as we were joining and we only had 3 players on my end, player 23, myself, and Maple Syrup, we sort of switched things up and then, well, I think Butters might have been a random from the lobby, but I don't quite remember. And I'm taking Yugoslavia. I do have a penchant for fighting in Dmitry Feder on this map, at least when we're on this side of the spawn. But one of the things that I really like about this map itself is with 4 players, there's so much variability. You usually end up with 2 going toward Elena, but sometimes it's more of 2 of them that are closer on this side, and you have Dmitry and Elena working together to push Ivan. Sometimes you have a lot of infiltration through the hills in Cheriton and into Gregory, and there's just so much that goes on all the time, and it's beautiful. And I really enjoy it. It makes me quite happy. But my opener is not going to be one of those things that made me happy this game, so we will stay zoomed out for most of this when we can to show everything that's going on. But I did want to highlight, I get ambushed by 2 daps, and that just, I was sitting there going, oh, that's how today's going to go, isn't it? Oh, goodness gracious. So the immediate response to a couple of daps is an L17K. Helicopter Hunter I probably should have already had out, to be honest, and accompanying that Gamma 2 up and forward, particularly because this wasn't, this was clearly not a ranked game. So I did know that there was USA on the field. USA often brings a lot of helicopters in the early opener, and you'd think I'd learned my lesson for that based off of some of how those games recently have gone. So I see the DAP, I try and go toward it, but we lose vision, and this was truly incredible. So my L17K is circling, going right over where I thought the DAPs were, and they're right there. They're landed, which is why I can't see them. 1 shot, 2 shot, landed DAPs firing stingers at an L17K enough to get the kill and knock me out of the sky. I was amazed, I was infuriated, I was just, oh, spit and fire, spit and fire. So, in the meantime, Elena has gone pretty well for my team, Han with a really aggressive push here, Motostrelki, Spetsnazguru, Razvedka, I mean, just a lot of forward pressure, and it's working out pretty well. I think I think they have a hold in this side of the town. There's a Portal back there that's going to be a little bit of a problem for us. But even just having this part of Elena is very nice, because this side of the board I think does struggle to get that sort of early control, just because of the positioning of Ivan, which makes it so hard for you to have tanks forward, for you to have infantry forward without them getting spotted and taken out. In the meantime, on this side, I am going up with lots and lots of infantry. So Padobranki, Graniciari, some Oat tabs to back them up. I have an M91 Vihor that is being a little bit cautious until I can get the Graniciari forward. I also don't quite have a mortar because I am, as they say, ich bin ein Dummkopf. Yes, there it is. Okay, so my usual struggles with that sort of thing. And then I'm just going to take my Pado and push them right through the woods. And they're going to be close enough, hopefully, to support each other, to get nice angles of fire, nice double teams on units of infantry through these woods, and then just roll my opponent back out of here. That's the intention. We'll see if it works. Spotting the Chaparral was also pretty nice because it said, okay, this is where my opponent thinks his backline is. Let's prove him wrong. Let's make that his front line. Let's get those ooey gooey kills on that side. And then we did also have a really rough time at the beginning in Gregory. So Butters here with lots and lots and lots of stuff. That looks like an automatic to me, which is always a problem. Yep, that's an automatic dead Hera. And then I think didn't really have the numbers on this side of the map to make it an easy fight this early on. So I'm not sure what else player 23 was deploying, but it seems like certainly something else is going on because there's really not that much on the field. Quite possible, yeah, okay, there's a Mista from Han. Yeah, I'm not really sure. I think it's possible we missed some of the early combat there that might have gone just way in the favor of Butters, but now there's a lot of pressure on this side as well. So I think this is mostly our goal as things stand right now, get this town and we reasonably win the game. Because we can lose Gregory and then take Feder, and hopefully take Feder, and then having the +1 in the center can secure us that victory. But that's part of what I love about this so much as well, is you have these relatively isolated fights going on either corner of the map, and they're crucial. If you go 1-1, things are tied, but I've seen games where one team gets both, and then it's just, even if you lose Elena in the center, you're still taking up that +1 advantage just because of the rest of the board. So Pado have been doing pretty well. I have an Oat tab that's just going right through here, but that's not necessarily the best idea, as it does get taken out. And these others are just saying, well, hey, if we're going to get taken out in the woods by US Marines, let's just go through in here instead, see what we can see, disrupt what we can disrupt, do what there is to do. And in the meantime, some Rangers. I mean, Rangers versus Brdskaya, I think Brdskaya should do okay, except for, of course, the mortar support. It's a very nice play there from my opponent. But I'm also just trying to get Brdskaya farther around, because the key to this, I think, is realizing how broad both of the woods on either side of Feder are, and right now that's what my Pato here are doing. That's what we're going to try to do for the rest of it. A little bit overwhelmed at the moment, but it's just regular riflemen, and I'm pulling back the Pato, trying to get them supported from other sides of the field before I push forward again. Meanwhile, more is on the way. I did have to bring in some reinforcements here in Dmitry just to stop the infiltration on this side, which is always a bit of a challenge, a bit of a threat, and some nice light riflemen from Michigan, so he's not unaware of the fact that this is a porous barrier. It's not solid by any stretch. So good plays there. And then I think we should be able... Oh, Chaparral getting my Gazella. Oh, please no. Come on. One miss. Yeah, there it goes. I mean, it's a Chaparral. It's going to get that kill. But this was pretty deadly. So US Marines, riflemen, lots and lots and lots of bodies, and my Pato are running out of the ability to stay ahead of it, because even though they have wheels for feet being special forces, US Marines are almost as quick at 25, and then it's sort of hard. I don't know. Sometimes it feels like the relative speeds go away a little bit when both sides are fighting. But M1 Abrams versus an M84, that should go the way of the M1A1, and I just didn't have line of sight with the VHOR, so I was kicking myself going, oh no. Oh, no, 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 because we're down to 1. We're just able to survive here, and I think it's frankly because we both missed. So if he had hit that M1A1s, I would have been down on M84AN. As it is, the VHOR pops up finally into a position where he can shoot, and we do get the kill. In the meantime, these were ATGMs I was hoping to bring up and forward into the town, but I can't do that if there are US Marines and Rangers and Riflemen going through here. I need to secure that first. My Pato are outnumbered. Decent cluster shot, I think, did get a couple of nice kills there, and then this is what we all came here to see, boys. Pato Bronchi into the back line, disrupting supply lines and killing the infantry inside of their vehicles before they can dismount. So nice move from Michigan, responding there, but it would have been nice to see the unload as well, because that was two groups of US Marines taken down. Of course, they are reasonably expensive by a single group of Pato Bronchi 90, not including the transport, so I was really happy with that. That's what these guys were supposed to do, going up and around the long way. I lost a little bit of punch in that first fight, but we regained it when we had that advantageous position. So, in the meantime, Maple has been able to do the same thing here, just filtering through the woods, getting into the town, devastating backline work, and then the fight over Gregory is still very pretentious. Contentious. I think that's two very different things. Only one of them applies here. M84As and an M84AN sort of backing up as he's bringing up more bodies, and we were able to take down, finally, one of the two DAPs on this side as he got a little bit too close to the Pato Bronchi, who unfortunately do pay the price. So, Feder is still anyone's fight. I would say Dmitry is going decently well. Elena, also anyone's fight, because of the double 2A4 back here. Yes, they are spotted, but my cluster was a little bit slow. I was still trying to handle Feder, and unfortunately I did not take the opportunity to hit those guys, even though, I mean, they look like they're moving around quite a bit, so it wouldn't necessarily have been the best chance. That is double Plum and S. Let's see how that does here. Yeah, I mean, everything is stunned. That's sort of what you expect. Tiny bit of friendly fire on the Proletary 90, I swear. I always friendly fire when I use the Plum and S, it's just, oof. But, triple oat 60 M60PB, let's see what that's carrying, and then we'll go back to the rest of the field. Oh, come on, unload. You know you want to. You know you want to unload. And when you guys feel like unloading, just feel free to do that on the like and share and subscribe buttons and all of that. I know, I ask a lot, but it really does help out the channel a lot more than you guys might think. I would also say that if you want to support me directly, I do also have the Patreon link, usually in the comment description as well. And, you know, the channel's pretty small, it's not monetized yet. It's not important because I do this anyway, I have fun with it, but that is the lay of the land as it stands right now. So, we have Pato Bronchi taking on more riflemen, so Michigan, I think, just returned the favor. I had that early thrust through here. He was getting riflemen through into the back line as well. The only saving grace was that I happened to be getting more Pato Bronchi up forward at the time, so they just happened to be here and happened to see a couple of my haute tabs and even above get killed, and then we're able to push back somewhat reasonably on this side. So, Riskaya pretty far forward. My M91 is a little unhappy here, lucky rather than good, as that Hornet should have killed him. I think both of those shots, or at least one of them, would have gone into side armor, and it just happened to not. So I'm getting out of the way. I do have a mortar now, and we are going to be smoking up, but just a little bit later than would have been ideal. And in the meantime, it looks like Toasty is attempting to use the staging grounds here in this forest to push back Honda Hun, and with the Leclerc back there, he can definitely do it. BMP-1s will just get wrecked. And the Leclerc, remember, has 12 rounds per minute fire with an autoloader. So that is going to be a constant 12 no matter what you do to that crew. You could fry him, you could shake him, you could bake him, you could do anything you wanted. That Leclerc is going to shoot 12 rounds per minute until it is dead. Unless you, well, I guess you could weapon jam it. but yeah, it's beside the point. So my Birdskaya are moving over. I was hoping to get some recoilless rifle shots in, and that looks like a mortar. Yep, that's not one of the cheap howitzers, it's just a mortar. We do take him out, so Birdskaya Pez immediately paying for themselves about 2 times over, depends on how expensive or cheap that mortar was, but it definitely gives good position and has to be kind of freaking out Michigan a little bit because most people expect that backline sort of position to be safe. So we have noticed Leclerc at this point, and there's a Conqueror's M team trying to take him out. They're a little bit distracted with the Martyr 1A2 and panicked besides. The Mi-28 in the back is going to be doing his best to fend off that offensive, and good positioning here. So Mi-28's 130 points. You cannot afford to be just throwing these around the board willy-nilly, so I mean, I like it. It's good position. And the fight over Gregory is still entirely in Blue Force hands, actually giving him a +1, because Gregory is capped for blue. We have not yet capped Feder for red. Nobody has capped Elena, and that side fight that's been just a thorn in our well, literally in our side the entire game, is potentially starting to lose us the game as we round 60 points for the opposing team. One thing I do like is the hold here. There's lots of Fagot teams, Conquerors teams, just dissuading heavy tanks, and then building on this position to attack into Cheriton and Elena, which is splitting Best Pony and Toasty a little bit here more than they'd like. Well, that's at least my guess anyway. If one of them is able to comment on it, because I think they do occasionally. It would be nice to know how you guys are feeling at this point in the game. You know, with Gregory locked down, with Feder, I guess, soon to be locked down by our team, because I do have a command vehicle right there, and then with Elena just being this big pit fight the entire time that neither one of us was really able to shake out. So curious what you guys thought. Leave that in the comments if you see this. If you hear this, I am always happy for more feedback. So by this time we have Mechanizovna up and forward. The OAT 60 MPBs do just insane burst damage to infantry, but only if they can see them. So I really wanted my Mechanizovna. I was trying to get them to go forward, forward, forward to really take out those US Marines at range. 2 HE power doesn't sound like much, but 2 guns, 13 rounds a minute, open field, yeah, it just mulches things. It's crazy. You could also probably criticize me for the M91 V-Horde placement. This is not good. If I hadn't recently cleared this with Birdskaya Pez, I wouldn't have him up here, and you can see I'm trying to get more stuff up there, Mechanizovna, and more oats to support, as I do see Michigan is bringing in some reinforcements to that side of the board. In the meantime, Mechanizovna, Padobranki just trying to pull my opponent's attention into this side of Ivan, make him defend his flanks, maybe worry Toasty just a bit, and now finally an attack marker, as in-game I noticed that Leclerc and the Martyr Martyr 1A2. I think my Oricon should be focusing on that. I'm not entirely sure. I think we actually... Oh, no, here it is. Big 27K with ATGMs. Those are probably headed for the Leclerc. And then the 22M4 should be doing the same thing. Looks like from a little bit of a different angle, as those are 2 different players, 2 different tactics for taking down that armor. So it is spotted. 1 missile, 2 missiles away, both missing. You hate to see it. You really just hate to see it. And the 22M4 coming in. Let's see. Nope, hits the Martyr, but that Leclerc is still alive and well. Very, very unfortunate for our team. We needed to remove that anchor in order to have a chance at folding this side of the flank. However, Gregory has been interesting since we've been gone. Mechanizovna, more Mechanizovna, more Mechanizovna, and lots of tanks still just back here. They've been waffling back and forth, killing anything that gets too close to the edge of the woods, and now finally there's a good infiltration effort into Gregory that looks like it's gotten past our opponent's butters over there, his defenses. So, Vihor is moving forward still, a little bit risky. I did move him back this way, then up. We have the M84AN to spot. I wanted to threaten this road to prevent more reinforcements from coming in, but I think Michigan responded really well to that and has been bringing in his reinforcements behind this town. So just getting him off the road here, deploying in through this thick forest, not allowing me to shoot his supply lines and his new reinforcements. Very excellent, very tight play there from the Corporal Michigan on that side of the board. I have to go all the way this far forward just to see things, is what I'm talking about. So, actually that looks like that might be intentional. And yeah, M1A1 Abrams, I'd say that's probably intentional, but now I have Drug teams, we are able to get some sort of fire, and he has to be aware that we have ATGMs, and that M1A1 Abrams is not going to be safe. Neither will the command M1 Abrams if I have my way. We have also capped Elena. It's a little bit of a risky cap here, the BMP-2K on this side from Maple Syrup, but it does sort of start to make up that ground that we've definitely been missing, because Gregory, despite being pushed into, there could be a ton of infantry on this side, and it would be just an absolute pit fight to yank him out and uproot them, and if the command vehicle is back here, that's sort of what we have to do, and frankly there's no reason to put it in this corner of Gregory. It's so much less safe than anything back here that's sort of what you could assume your opponent's going to do. Of course, they can always try and throw you a curveball, many people do, but I don't know, holding this part of Gregory would also allow our team, if we can push up here, to have a viable camp on either side of that river. It does look like Butters had tried to go through here as well, but Proletary and M80As are going to see those guys off. Also, is that a Hellcat? That was a Hellcat! Oh, I love it. 10-point spam, but 50% accuracy, 6 AP power, 2 HE. Not the worst fire rate for 10 points. Honestly, there are some things with 6, and they're even more expensive than that, so yeah, Hellcats for the win. Meanwhile, I've been pushed back by some US Marines. My Mechanizovana are doing okay. I would have liked to get the Padobranki or the Mechanizovana into this town, but you can see the counter cap coming down. Feder is now not ticking for anyone, and we are still down by about 35-ish points to the opposing team, which, considering we hold Elena, that was really annoying. I was sitting there going, oh, come on. Really wanted to start making up ground. We're about 15 minutes in, and it's not that wide of a margin, so it's not unrecoverable, but it definitely was something that did not inspire confidence, shall we say, because, I mean, if they're still holding us off, that could be really rough really quick. I do also lose the M91 AV Horde to a Hornet because my smoke micro is still something that needs a lot of work. You can already hear it. You're right. If you're going to tell me that that's what I need to do, you're right, you're right, you're right. And losing the Padobranki to a bomber also just told me I don't have enough anti-plane AA up here, so I should really bring in something long-range able to take those guys out. In the meantime, a couple attack markers. Maple has pushed into the forest here where that Leclerc previously was, forced them back, and is getting some nice work around here. The T-72 S1, 120-point tank, is doing alright, but a Tiger Had is coming up here to threaten him. Let's see. Pretty good smack there, down to 5 strength, and can the second missile do it, or will this guy survive? Swing and a miss. Swing and a very, very lucky miss for us. But now I've had it with this position, and I'm going to do a classic Yugoslavian push. Proletary, M60 PBs behind them, getting that burst fire damage on anything that the Proletary engage, and then the right side here with the Droog teams and the M84ANs trying to get kills and damage and panic on lots of armor, but we do take a bit of counterfire. Droog teams, for as reliable as they are, they don't have the best armor piercing, so anything above 90 or so points worth of strength should hold up to it reasonably well. That's like, it's a back of the envelope calculation because everything has different armor. But that's sort of what I used to think about. And yeah, my Bird Sky are in the open getting shot by M1A1s, but I don't really care because that keeps the M1A1 spotted. It's going to let me get my M94AN up there, hopefully with a little bit of smoke cover to shoot in at that front and side armor, and it also is distracting while the rest of the stuff moves around. So a little bit sacrificial, a little bit expensive to be sacrificial, not really my best decision there, but that ATGM, that's the one I needed. That's the one I really needed to kill that M1A1 Abrams. And as it is, clusters coming in, but we spot the Command Abrams. Clusters a little bit too far back. I was trying to shoot their staging ground. You can see we do ping a couple of vehicles back there. I think, not resupply vehicles, we'd see the explosion, but I mean, it's not like it hit nothing either. Hornets coming in, but M84AN able to get out, and the Sava with a surprisingly high value kill. Never underestimate those guys. I love them, I love them, I love them for that reason. So, Proletary getting shot, getting killed by Pivads, because that's what Pivads do, I suppose. My T-55 should be able to handle that, and we have more Pado, we have more vehicles, we have more Proletary. Everything up here, I want this zone, it will be ours, or at least that's what I was thinking at the time. In the meantime, Gregory has been decapped, probably by this Hera 2, and then capped for our team by player 23, with some command infantry just far back in this corner of Gregory. Actually, it looks like, no, are they moving? Interesting, still counter-capped. Probably moving to stay away from the Hera 2 is my guess, and that is going to hurt. Yeah, that sucks. Losing the M84AN to some cheap infantry. Not terribly cheap, but still cheap-ish. And is that what we're looking for? That could be command vehicle right there. A bit of an unusual pick if it is. Just the boxes tend to not really have good mobility, or I guess just not armor either, so the one you're buying it for. But yeah. We were able to get the Command Abrams, we were able to get the M1A1, but a bombing run does get revenge, and I've been pushed out of this side of Feder, which that certainly does hurt. We have 2 Neva Mitts now trying to fend off those bombing runs, but they were just a tiny bit too far back. Always, always, always bring these guys up here sooner than I do, because it's a mistake when I do that. Self-awareness from time to time is more annoying than anything else, but I mean, if you gloss over your mistakes, you'll never learn from them either. So we have especially only a note key from player 23 going up. He wants to resecure this section of woods. Brutal decision from Butters to kill those resupply vehicles, but frankly I would have made the same one. Just easy kills, force your opponent to bring in more resupply. And the pit fight between Best Pony and Maple is succeeding, at least for right now. So yeah, I mean, they have a 2A4 up here, they have some infantry on this side, but they haven't been able to root us out of Elena, they haven't been able to get that decap. Frankly, I think Maple has just will of iron here, not even flinching with BMP2 that close to enemy positions, and I definitely would have pulled them out. I would have gone, okay, well, that's fine, but by not moving them, they're probably assuming we have command infantry in this section of town. That's what I would assume, because who in their right mind would leave something capping right here when they don't have control of that side of the zone? So sometimes the best way to win is to overshoot your opponent's estimation of your own madness. At least that's one of my favorite quotes from a debatably okay book, but it's one I enjoy. So we have about 8 minutes left in the game, 20 minutes possible, but only about 8 minutes left in the game, and you guys can kind of see where this is going. The tide is starting to turn. Orticon now shooting into their back line, trying to counterfire those mortars, trying to hit anything that I can moving up, because this is going to be a main reinforcing column as well, and every time I've played on that side of the map, I've had a decent amount of stuff in and around this section of village. I only regret that it was an Orticon, so it's cluster instead of HE. Probably would have gotten a little bit better use out of HE on anything in that back line there. And I was also trying to get Pado forward. I think they killed 2 things with the boom bar, including a very expensive Bradley, but element of stealth was lost because of it. So things have kind of calmed down for right now. You can see that Michigan has recapped this section because he's shooting out of it with ATGMs. That is going to be a thorn in my side, but we do have the cap. We have the cap in Elena, we have the cap in Gregory on the right, and that is going to lead us to a +3. Now we're at over 100 points ahead of Pony and his team, and they have to be sweating the same sort of bullets that we were at the start, just going, okay, well, we still have time, but we need to flip this. And whereas things were neutral on the edges before, and neutral even favoring blue here, now it's very, very, very much not. There was also just a brief blip of a command vehicle setting down in those trees, and it did get spotted. There is an attack marker going down on it, so we were aware, I think, of where it was. It's just a matter of how to hit it. So my Orticon is reloading and already firing again on Ivan, and then we're just sort of talking amongst ourselves. I mean, who's going to go in here? What sort of things do we need to hit it? Well, maybe not necessarily for right now. Don't throw away points for it because we're still at a +2, and that's certainly a consideration because you don't want to throw away points if you don't have to, of course, pretty much ever, even if it is conquest or destruction. So Mechanizovna, Proletary, Oat M60PB is taking out Livgarden, and I'd say Gregory is well and truly capped. It's much harder to reinforce into Gregory than it is into Feder, I'd say, just because on Feder you have this whole side, and it's been very well used this entire game. But if you look over at Gregory, this is really your main road. In order to resupply and reinforce on the other side, you actually have to be amphibious, because every land reinforcing zone on this side is not on that end of the river. So you have to cross that first. Not every deck is made to do that, and not every unit's made to do that. Most tanks can't. Most transports, well, I guess many transports can't. I'm actually not sure. Yeah, Martyr 2 cannot go across there. So it's really hard to launch a counteroffensive on this side unless you control far enough forward to cross the bridge. And yeah, there was some of that from here for us as well, but there's a bridge back here. So our players can go across the bridge and over, while as the blue force side of the team really can't. And I actually think that's a little bit unbalanced in favor of the red force spawn for that side of the map, just because it does allow so much more tactical flexibility, and tactical flexibility wins games. So Padobrunki are pushing forward, Granny Ciari, more Oat tabs, but US Marines are standing tall, and this is something where my Pado should have been healed up more than they were. US Marines are more okay with this fight than we are, both panicked, and just the amount of damage that was coming into these Pado was truly amazing. I expected them to do a little bit better, but I had no reason to. That was sort of just combat blindness, and this should have all been smoked before I pushed. So getting a little bit sloppy here, 25 minutes in, it's been known to happen, and I was really just hoping to overwhelm with sheer numbers, because I thought I had a numerical advantage over here. I wasn't expecting all of this. So if I was, the cluster would have led the way, smoke would have led the way. I thought I was dealing with just a couple of things there, and I definitely was not. So at this point, I was also seeing a couple of M84As around. We did, ooh, there it is. There's the Nighthawk. We did get that Nighthawk, a little bit of revenge for him bombing my Birdskaya and Mechanizovna out of existence. Double Neva M1T is very, very expensive, but oh so good. 60% accuracy, 9 HE power, and we landed 2 hits in quick succession to kill that Nighthawk. Okay, so at this point I'm sending a couple of M84As over. My hope was to get around to this side to sort of support the BMP2K, and then push into this section. I mean, yes, I know there's Milan teams here, There's also a lot of support on this side. There were moat shoots that were going up into those sections of woods, and moat shoots should be able to fight off a damaged Milan F3 team, which is very fragile. If they can get there is the only thing. But a couple of tanks on this side I thought would be nice. I didn't anticipate the Leopard 2A5. Bit of a nasty shock there. But with the Leopard 2A5 on that end, these guys can still operate in the middle of Elena, providing fire support just down the straight, and then into the town if anything pokes their head out, and just some very, very forward deployments of Motostrelki and Spetsnaz Gru. Gotta love it. So we're trying to take that town, we're trying to take the entire zone at this point, and really lock that down to end the game that much quicker if we can, and the reinforcing efforts from Butters are just... This is what I was talking about. There's Droog teams over here, there's really no way to deal with it, and double M84A is just going to be a little too much, especially when supported by Droog. So Gregory is well and truly ours. Automatic still coming in. I mean, he's still trying, and that is definitely a good thing. You never want to give up. IL-102, though, in the center, and kaboom. Love to see it. Yeah, okay. This should not be that long for the world. Also, pretty nice howitzer shots going in there, able to take out enemy artillery. And when you're at this point in the game, and then you're looking at the kills and losses at the end, this is where a lot of that stuff happens, in the opener and in the end. The mid-game, it depends on the game, right? With my style of play where I throw everything at you as quick as I can, yeah, the middle of the game has a lot of fights. But this is sort of, Elena's an example of a long stalemate followed by a breakthrough that then allowed a lot of high-value kills. So we got the command vehicle, we got the supporting anti-air, we got a lot of these vehicles and infantry, and then my M84s, I'm marking that I have them here just for communication with my team, are able to fire in to discourage the Chasseur from coming up here early, and then getting a couple of kills and just dissuading this whole push, because 13 VTTs, decent support. You got 4 Brownings there between the 4 vehicles, and if they had driven right up and dropped off, the Chasseurs would be in these towns, making Motostrelki not able to shoot back, and I don't know, we're not getting away with the best accuracy here, but I think it was worthwhile, at least for right now. Bomber coming in from Toasty, and we did also have a surrender from Butters, so sort of the beginning of the end whenever you see those surrenders start to come down, and it's really pretty understandable. I think really contentious game, really high stakes, high intensity game. I never had a moment where I relaxed, which oddly enough is what I do to relax. I don't know, I have questions. I have questions I'm not sure I have the answers to, but very much an enjoyable match between Pony and his team, and then Han and my group of Maple and Player 23 from our Discord. So we do actually run those sometimes over Discord, just anyone who's online, joining a team, joining up a couple others who are known sort of to the channel and to the community, and having a good time. With that, let's take a look in at the units that did well and did poorly in this game. That's going to be, oh, let's see. Yeah, okay. 9,415 kills to 6,786 losses, and a lot of that, I think, it looks like it came from Butters' side of the field once Player 23 got a foothold. That ended up being very good. My own sort of engagement on the other flank was also very good. A couple of throwaways, but I think that ended up being generally a good engagement. Pato did very well. M91 Vihor did very well. It's an M1A1 and an M3A1 Bradley. That right there pays for the Vihor, even if I did eventually lose him to a Hornet, so happy with that. Orcon killing some M2A2 Bradleys, and then just general good performance from Special Forces, which I know they're not the most cost effective, but this is why I like them. They're fast, they're impactful, used in the right positions, and I just so happened to get them into some of those right positions here today. M84ANs always do well, and of course my pet favorite, Savas, did pretty good. Alright, well that's all we've got for you guys today. Thank you all for hanging around, and we'll see you again real soon.